Hey YouTube tribe, it is Filter Free with Natalie here, and it is Medical Monday. So I don't want to make this intro very long. You guys have other videos on this channel you can look at if you are interested in learning more about me. Today we are going to focus on the purpose of the day, medical day, medicine day. So a couple things that I wanted to start with is letting you know what I have. And to be specific, because there's not a lot of content on YouTube about what I have. There's not a lot of content anywhere about what I have, which has made it really hard because, you know, it's one thing to worry how you're going to navigate an illness, and then it's another thing to realize that you're in way deeper than you thought as far as your health goes. So what I want to start with is that I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that was I've probably had that since I was a teenager, but my symptoms didn't start until my late 20s. Biggest issues there were obviously too high estrogen, too high testosterone, and no progesterone, and that caused everything from unwanted acne, as if there's a wanted kind, hair loss, dry skin, and a whole host of other bits of fun. But I finally figured out some things, like if you have PCOS, you are already someone who should probably limit dairy because it is an inflammatory condition. My whole body is inflammatory, so everything I have relates to that. I have the general anxiety, which can be for anything. It's really helpful that way. Like, I'll step right in and be your anxiety. Then I have the health specific anxiety. And then I have the newest, which is the autoimmune hepatitis with cirrhosis. So let's talk about that for just a second, because you can go on Google or you can go on YouTube and search autoimmune hepatitis, or AIH, and you'll get lots of medical stuff like doctors explaining this rare condition. It's considered rare, less than 200,000 cases a year. It's so rare that even on the subreddit for autoimmune hepatitis, the average posting is a half a month to a month old because there's not a lot of people there talking about it. And that's what I ran into when I wanted to research what the heck this was, because I've been dealing with this, figuring out what's wrong with me since July of last year. This has been going on with it's so annoying, but it is what it is. So let's say I explain autoimmune hepatitis to you. Let me start by clarifying, like I have in another video, that it is not contractable. It's not Hep A, B, C, or D. It is its own entity. Hepatitis is just a term that says inflammation of the hepatic. Well, hepatic would be the liver, and then itis is inflammation. Autoimmune lets you know the mechanism. So in this circumstance, my body does not recognize liver cells as liver cells. They look at them like foreign invaders, or other cells that they're like, you're not allowed to be here. And so my immune system has ramped up to try and address this, and it's been overlooked for a long time because I always present overweight and with noticeable liver enzymes elevated, which everyone just attributed to me being overweight. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, you should lose weight. That's what I was told for 20 years, 25 years, however long it's been that I've been mainly fat. Actually, I'm not fat, I contain fat. I'm a person, but within my system, I have more fat than a lot, but not as much as others. Got to keep it in mind, keep the balance. Always look for that silver lining. So this affects so much. The liver is your star. Everybody is trying to be like, hey heart, hey lungs, hey cardiac system. True, hey neurosystem, yes, absolutely, you need your brain. But I'm telling you, your liver handles a lot of stuff for your body. So the complications I'm seeing with my numbers are specific to jaundice. I have cirrhosis that is battling between compensating and decompensating, which means the liver can handle the damage and what you're throwing at it, or it can't. And at the moment, usually it can't. This is Medical Monday, so I'm reminding you before I continue, this is not a page that is not a channel, excuse me, that is intended for kids. And this topic that we're talking about, I'm not going to leave stuff out because it's embarrassing to talk about. I mean, everybody does everything that I'm going to say, and I'm just explaining how it affects me. If you don't like hearing personal details, or you get grossed out easily or whatever, then, you know, skip past it. I'm not going to intentionally be gross, but so there's your little disclaimer. So the liver, it metabolizes everything that goes into the body. There's more than one mechanism for that. And as soon as that is no longer true, it becomes smaller, denser. The texture, instead of being like supple and it's supposed to look like, you know, this big bloody happy thing, it's all shrunken and has all these nodules on it. And that is exactly my situation right now. I have a MELD score of 15, which is, it puts me in the category of let's not rule out a transplant, but my hepatologist has said he is cautiously optimistic that I may never need that because of whatever experience he's applying there. But I don't know. So it has increased my anxiety. I have, because of this, it can also be from medications. It's really hard right now to know which of these things are from my illness and from medications. Like you guys know that I have this hand tremor. This is a part of hepatic encephalopathy. And the test you do is you put your hands out like this, and then you're gonna bring the hands from here like this, and then you count to 10, and that helps to check the severity of your encephalopathy symptoms. See, they won't stop moving, but if it's more progressed, it would be like that, like it's constantly wanting to go down. So I'm not that bad off that way. It does affect my handwriting, something awful, because I was that person who wanted to write in all these different ways. I want to write bubbly. I want to write in all block or caps. I want to, you know, it was just silly girly stuff. But I have a million ways that I can write, but none of them look right. It looks like, you know, you can imagine. It's like da 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 da. So it has affected that. I have horrible dry mouth that is worse than any time I've ever experienced dry mouth with using marijuana, because that is one of the side effects that you can get from marijuana as well. But it's usually solved by the munchies. If you think ahead, you can have healthy munchies, and then it'll all work out. Don't blame the pot for poor munchie decisions. So nothing seems to want to quench this thirst, but it's not a thirst. I'm not overly thirsty. I'm just overly dry in my mouth to where I feel like I'm gonna start to talk like this. And who wants that? Nobody wants that. That's not right. It also affects my blood pressure. And so because I have health-specific anxiety, I also have blood pressure monitor and an O2 pulse oximeter you put on your finger. This is my, sorry about the reflection, this is my average. You see right there, it says average, 119, is that 119? Over 78. And it's saying, hey, here's your arrow right here. You're in a good range. I'm okay with that. Your pulse is here. Pulse is a little high. but that's because I'm still on prednisone, and that's increasing blood pressure as well. But I take this a couple times a day, and I always take it when I'm having an anxiety attack, because it helps me to see the numbers to remind me that I'm okay. Like if I feel like I can't breathe because I'm having a panic attack, I'll put the little pulse thing on my finger and it'll go, you can breathe fine. You're at 98%. So it's in your head. Take deep breaths, calm yourself down. That helps me. As does this. If I feel like my wife is doing dancing in the background, wearing the very outfit, well, the shirt that we got married in, Captain America.
That's right. My wife is cool.
I had a difficult morning today because of this stimulus thing I've mentioned, and this time I waited until I stopped crying my eyes out, because I figured you guys got a snap of that, and we don't need too much of that heaviness. Keep it light energy, I think, would be better. So this morning I went on to get my payment to see if there's been any change in the status that would give me hope that there's a check in the mail, since they don't have our correct information. Sidebar, if you filed your taxes in 2019, for the 2019 taxes, if you have filed and you used H&R Block or Tax Turbo or whatever kind of thing, Hewlett something, then IRS does not have your bank account information from that year. Especially if you had to make a change, they don't have the change. I read through this because this is what I was going through today. We had an account that was closed. The bank cannot and will not. They can open it, but they will not, because of the precedent it would set for everybody else having the same problems. They're just doing a blanket no at the bank we use, which is not surprising, which is why I'm not mentioning them by name, but I'm sure you can guess. Bail out. Anyway, so so I have been upset this morning. I was on hold for half an hour, and I was happy to wait. No big deal, but they're like, there's nothing we can do. There's no number to call for the IRS. And now we have a new update that says we have a new payment date, and it's going into this account ending in these 4 numbers, and it's still the wrong information. So anxiety kicked in right about there. So you can see when I took it next, just that anxiety alone caused my blood pressure to go up 140/93. This is borderline hypertensive. It's sitting right here saying this is not a good number. And this right here is not very changed. So my pulse itself is not the problem. It's that I actually have an increased blood pressure because of the stress and the anxiety. And if you have anything similar, this is not that expensive. I got it on Amazon for $20 or less. And then the pulse oximeter is that little thing on the finger, and they sell those in pharmacies or online. So they're really helpful if you are like me and need to separate your fears from your logic, because for me, that's a huge thing with my anxiety. Autoimmune hepatitis creates a really horrific inflammation. It causes systemic joint pain, meaning it's all over, and it can often be overlooked or misdiagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis or as leukoid hepatitis in the lupus family. And there are other things that I probably have that have not been diagnosed, like Hashimoto's. So it's crazy what the liver does. It's affecting the way my blood clots. So I'm a bleed risk, and I'm definitely immunosuppressed between just my health and the medicines that I take. I'm literally taking immunosuppressive chemotherapy drugs. So that is literally impacting my health. I get very weak very easily, and I get very exhausted. The fatigue is not just like I need a nap. It's like I had to lug timber with my 2 fingers all day, and then I'm gonna take a nap. because it just feels like you've worked your ass off, and when you haven't, because you've been purposefully trying to have an easier, more gentle day with yourself, and you still feel fatigued and exhausted, then it's a reminder that this disease, its medications, and coupled with everything I have going on, or quadrupled more like, it's kind of crazy. So there's no cure, as with most things, there is no cure for autoimmune hepatitis. It is a progressive disease, as opposed to some that are just chronic but manageable, like diabetes. You wouldn't want diabetes, you would not want it at all. And anybody who has it, I'm sure they would all agree, because it sucks to have diabetes. You have to really change so many things, and I've so far been, what do you call it, maybe luck or protected by something, so that I am not on that. And I'm hypoglycemic. My blood sugar drops more so than it raises, outside of taking prednisone, which affects those numbers. But diabetes also can be a managed chronic illness. If someone is taking care of themselves, taking their medicines and regular checkups at their doctor, then they're usually okay, unless something else pops up they have to manage. It does still make them immunocompromised. It still does make them a risk in our current situation of the coronavirus, but it's not a progressive disease in the way that the liver is, because the liver is supposed to regenerate. It's supposed to help heal itself, because it's that important to our system, that it's our little, sorcerer or little magical liver in there. Magical. It really is amazing all that the liver does. It's our little filtration system, and it can't filter everything when it's sick. And once you're at cirrhosis, the scarring is there, and it's not going to go away. The only hope you have is in the areas where the scarring, the only hope I have is that the scarring will be minimized going forward, like it'll stop. And then my hepatologist is explaining to me that any tissue that has not become fully cirrhotic will still try and remake healthy liver cells. But at the time that I was last seen and forwarded to all these specialists, my enzymes were over 1,000. My bilirubin, which is what accounts for people having jaundice, was 17 when it was supposed to be like 1 something. So I wasn't just yellow, I was orange. And it affects platelet count. It affects like kind of foods that you can eat. Like, I have to be careful now with the amount of protein, because the protein is the hardest thing for the liver to break down, and it takes the longest to go through our whole system. And since I also have another inflammatory chronic condition, IBS-C, which is constipation, after 20 plus years of having IBS-D, diarrhea, so it's been an interesting change trying to get used to the difference of the circumference in the intestines when you don't need much stretching of that for you to go to the bathroom for a couple decades, and all of a sudden it's like, we're going to stay in here a while before we come out. Yeah, that's like trying to fit something through a smaller straw than you're used to. So that's no fun. And that contributes to my encephalopathy as well, because your liver's taking all the toxins, and I'm not saying that in a, how someone would buy my crappy product, it'll relieve your toxins. Some things do, some things don't. Let's stick to what we actually know has efficacy to it. We know that your body eliminates toxins because we pee and poop every day. You should, every day. And when you have constipation, irritable bowels, so your intestines are inflamed and you can't go because the movement or peristalsis of your intestines is also affected, then that's causing a buildup of toxins that is staying in the intestines until you're able to have it out. So like yesterday, I had worse tremors yesterday, but I had a really good bathroom experience this morning. So I can already tell a difference in my tremor, which is crazy that I have to rely on my body's ability to poop to make sure my hands have the ability to function. But hey, liver alone. So the liver is such a beast. Usually I have a little bit lower blood pressure because it is likely that I have portal hypertension within the liver. And they did notice when they did my biopsy that there was some kind of damage to the bile, I don't know if it was the main bile duct, because that would be a really big faux pas. Something in there got damaged when I had my gallbladder out when I was 17, which is fucking weird to have your gallbladder out at that age. Like my little brother was having his appendix out like a normal kid. When you have an appendicitis, that's, nobody comes in with, I'm not nobody, but I don't mean anybody, but I'm just beside myself. I'm gonna put this down. So I have mood swings, which are accounting for me bursting into tears. I also have one ovary left from cancer. Like my PCOS changed my hormones so dramatically that it gave me cancer. This is not I think that's what happened. This could have been what happened. It's what happened. Your hormones, they play a huge role in all of your bodily functions. I mean, you have ghrelin just for when you're actually hungry, when your stomach actually growls. That's how you can remember what it's called, ghrelin. It's ghrelin. And then you have cortisol that contributes to belly fat, visceral fat, which is the most dangerous kind, that brown fat. And it collects right in this area in your abdominal cavity, and it causes so many other issues than just, like, hey, this is just unsightly. But that's aesthetics. I mean, do I feel like I want to be like, I'm the best? Not so much. But I'll show you guys that because that's what I'm working with. I have edema, and I've been out of my Lasix, the water pill that helps you shed that water. I've been out of it for 3 days. And in those 3 days, I have already had a new buildup of fluid in my legs and my arms. I know most of that is fat, but it wasn't all that bad before this. So I definitely have to keep taking that medication so that this will stop, because if the fluid continues to build up, it progresses from edema to ascites, which is much worse. You have to have that drained, and that is also a sign, if you're going all the way to that level, that your liver is damaged even more. And like I was saying, the goal is for the areas of the liver, it's going to be kind of spotty, like, hey, this section doesn't have damage, but this one does. If it's scarred, if it already has the cirrhotic scarring, that's all that's happening there. But if these little bits that have less damage, that can build new cells, that's the hope. And then combining it with these medications to make it work out. These are medications that nobody wants to take, and that most people on any autoimmune protocol do take. So any of you watching that have anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. I also have been out of my medical marijuana for a couple of weeks now because of quarantine and all of that. So no, Eleanor, don't eat that. Go potty, but don't eat. Eleanor is trained for indoor pottying, but sometimes she likes to eat the edges of her potty pad, which is just infuriating. So that's what that was about. What was I just saying? Why don't I just jump in until I remember? Memory lapses has been one of the worst side effects of this autoimmune hepatitis, because it's the inflammation, encephalitis, that's in your head, your brain, or the what's surrounding, I don't know if it's I'm so embarrassed that I can't remember these things because I've worked in healthcare and everything else. I know what they're called. Anyway, so my brain has so much brain fog. I can't even find the words to tell you which part of the brain is affected by this, but if there's inflammation, it's not the kind where it's at a level of concern. A concerning level would be if I also were like when I went to the ER last. I had encephalopathy because I was also slurring my words, making no sense. And get out of my spot. Hey, no, get away. Good girl, and you can't have that either. She's like, nobody wants to play with me. Here, where's your pug? Prove to YouTube that you can get your pug. Go get your pug. Where's your pug? Bring it up here. Bring it over here. Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Come on. She literally brings me her pug. It's the cutest thing ever. I think it's the second time I've shown you. That's what we ask her to do when she's trying to get into stuff she's not supposed to. So, sorry. I'm trying to just deliver this because I have had the worst time with figuring out, is it your pug? I've had the worst time figuring out how to edit and put forth quality content. I was so frustrated yesterday, it ruined my evening on top of everything else that I was feeling anyway. So, go get it. When I was being sent to the ER, I was slurring my words. I was confused more than usual. I wasn't walking, my gait was disturbed, I wasn't walking right, and I was in so much pain. So much pain. And the memory thing is just like, we're trying to get the pain under control, and we're at a moment now where I think we might be doing that. We've had some struggles because everybody thinks that everybody just wants narcotics. I don't need narcotics, I just need pain relief. And if that can be accomplished without narcotics, then I'm okay with that. Having medical marijuana does help. It helps with my anxiety, it helps with my nausea, it helps with being able to feel grounded. Like, I'm not constantly feeling like everything's about to, the sky's falling, Chicken Little, oh my gosh. And in absence, it does make a difference, just as it would with any medication. Like if you take something for, you take a Prozac or Zoloft or whatever it is, Lexapro. It's the same concept for medical use. It's not about, is it beer or is it liquor or is it this in comparison. That is so the wrong comparison. The comparison is, hey, I know someone who takes Zoloft. You want to give that a try. I have tried throughout the years, about a decade. And then when I tried to retry Wellbutrin, because it's a different family than the typical SSRI, the serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's a different family, and apparently I'm now allergic to Wellbutrin and any medication within that family. So anyway, now I have some help with pain. I have to just figure out about how to get my medical marijuana situation settled, because I do want to include that on this channel. Uses of it, discussion of it. I'm pro legalization of it. I don't think that it should be managed as just medical. At most, I think that people that need it medically deserve to have medical rates, which when I was in California, that would be applicable, but when I was in Colorado, that was the case. You would have recreational would be just a little more expensive, and medical may have a couple other things that is really just medical. They focus a lot more on CBD and 1-to-1 ratios or 1-to-20 ratios. And when you're wanting to, most people, if you're not using it for an actual medicine and you're just having a good time and that's what you imbibe with instead of alcohol or what have you, that's a fine comparison because it is not as harmful as any of those others. But mine is medical use, and so when I am able to use that again, I know that my spirits will be back up. I won't feel as depressed. These feelings I have are just what you hear on any TV commercial. Are you sad? Are you depressed? Do you find it difficult to go through your day? Yes. Yes, I do. And the memory thing is crazy. I mean, I've been trying to really keep a good outlook on it. I laugh it off most of the time, and we joke about how I mix my words up, and say like, "Can you fill up my cup with water?" I'll say, "Can you get my cat for water?" And, "You want me to give your cat water?" No. Then we'd have to start over. So, and somebody will tell me something and my brain will be processing it like, okay, I hear this sentence. I understand what you're saying. Oh, I have a thought about that. All right, tell me your story again, and then I can tell you my thought. I guarantee you it'll come back. Doesn't always happen. As you may find out in these videos, sometimes it is easier to just not edit because then it's like you got all of it. You have my memory gaps, you have all those things, and you're like, okay, that's what that looks like. So I am not as optimistic as my hepatologist is. So I am also going to be sending my record to a doctor at Emory in Atlanta that has seen me and is interested in my case, and just to get another set of eyes and also to establish care in that way. Like, it's not uncommon for these more rare illnesses for you to seek out specific experts like Emory, like Mayo, like Cleveland, like Mass Gen. I mean, those are all places where you would be looking, and I've probably left some out. I'm not affiliated with anybody, and it doesn't matter to me if I forgot to say their name because I don't work for them. But you've got the idea about the kind of things I'm saying. So, and then here is where I live. If it just so happens that here where I live doesn't have the hepatologist that would do best for my case, then we're going to have to look outside the box. And that's what we're doing with this person at Emory. So I'm going to make sure I have that second backup opinion. And then if it does turn into a situation where I need a transplant, the transplant success rate in St. Louis is very poor. It's not the kind where you'd be like, I'm willing to sign up for that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure if it's, well, we can try it, or you could just go home and die, is pretty much what you'd be told at that point. Then I guess that would be everybody's personal choice. But the success rate of transplants, liver transplants in Atlanta at Emory, are above 90%. And that makes you feel better. It's like you got an A in that. Nobody wants to give up an A, especially not for a C or a D. So that's part of my plan as well. Once I'm able to get the medication that I'm taking, we've been down dosing the prednisone from 30 milligrams, then it went to 20, now we're at 10. Dropping it to 10 has allowed me to see some increased inflammation. So I'm a little nervous about what my next labs will do and if I'm going to have to stay as high as 10 milligrams, because I really wouldn't like that. But I also take Lasix and a potassium to make sure I don't lose too much potassium to affect cardiac health. And I take azathioprine or Imuran and a little handful of others now. Never thought I'd be a pill container kind of gal, but it's never too soon to start, I guess. So I have one of those big ones and everything, just in case, because it also, the prednisone has affected my mood as well as my vision. I have blurry vision. Also the fact that I just turned 40 and most people start to see their, eye changes. People who may not have had major issues with their eyes or eyesight will start to see that in their 40s or 50s if they are lucky in waiting. But I've always had to have glasses. Just the least time was when I was in high school, but I've worn glasses pretty much my whole life. It's become a part of my personality, in fact, to wear the ones that are like, I'm glasses and I'm on your face. I think it helps my face, especially because my face is round, and so it adds some dynamics this way instead of just round. And so I need to get my eyes checked and make sure that there's nothing else going on. The ocular pressure is something to definitely look out for in that regard. So what my intention will be going forward with this particular the channel for today, I'm going to start making playlists so you guys can find them more easily, doing research to figure out how the hell this works and how to figure out how to edit, because I was my ego needed to stop at the door and remind me to realize that the people on YouTube right now, especially the people that are calling all these people the millennials that they're being rude about, y'all need to leave millennials alone, because they are on here pro style. Like, I'm watching a movie, I'm watching a documentary. Eleanor, no. And don't bother Toby either. No. Who are you eating? You're eating. It's in your face. No. Stop. Okay. Come here then. If you can't beat them, join them. She is too excited about the toaster. Sit right here. You can still see him. Sit right here. So, again, sorry. And these are the kind of things that I hope will be able to be changed or slightly updated. I don't mind you seeing bloopers in real time. I hope to have some good bloopers built up eventually, bloopers or outtakes, so I can just make you a video that's entirely of that. But that means I have to learn how the hell to edit, because that's exactly how that would work. So I appreciate you coming to take a look today at the video, see what it was about. And I appreciate your patience as I learn more. And again, I'm not asking you for anything but maybe your time and the ability to share this channel with people you think it would benefit. So the schedule that I have planned is Medical Mondays, Vlog Wednesdays, Foodie Fridays, and is that it? Spiritual Sunday. See, I just did that and I had to ask if there was another one. And I will be delving into a specific topic each time, and hopefully you guys can start letting me know as the channel builds what information has been helpful. Sorry about the siren. The window's open because it feels fantastic outside. And then it made me lose my whole train of thought. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So it won't just be sitting around and having a no point discussion. I will just look at the comments, and if there's anything that you guys want to learn about that I haven't already brainstormed, then I'll put it to the top of the list because you're asking for it. Thank you very much for your support just in watching, and we hope you have a great day, don't we, Eleanor? Eleanor Rigby. That's right. You want to turn it off? No? Okay. Say bye. Bye. Camera's right there. Say bye there. Bye, guys.